New sexual misconduct allegations against a San Diego deputy and the red flags investigators may have missed.
Victimize these women.
As the White House responds to the calls for gun control, Parkland students return to campus. The plans for the building where the gunman opened fire.
It's a good mix. And I think from a policy point of view, there aren't a lot of variations. This is going to come down to types of experience and personality. They're all good candidates.
The fight for the 49th is heating up. Why the number of candidates has prompted worries about splitting the vote in the primary election. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. A student at Santee's West Hills High School is facing charges for making a threat against the school. And now the San Diego County Sheriff is sharing the photo that led deputies to take action. The department says the threat was posted on Instagram. The picture shows Legos shaped to resemble an AR-15 rifle. The Sheriff's Department says it included the caption, "Don't come to school tomorrow." Deputies say the student is 14 years old and in the 9th grade. He was arrested at his family's home in Lemon Grove. There have been at least 9 threats against San Diego area schools since the Florida shooting 2 weeks ago. San Diego Unified Superintendent Cindy Martin this week thanked her staff for their work to ensure safety and stability despite trying times.
From our principals who've handled multiple false threats to our police who tracked down the person allegedly responsible for some of these threats, everyone has responded to this tragedy with grace. I'm especially grateful for the teachers and counselors who've comforted our youngest students and helped our older students to express themselves.
Most of the threats were considered non-credible, but Interim District Attorney Summer Steffen is urging members of the public to continue calling law enforcement if they believe a school is at risk. 2 weeks after the deadly school shooting in Florida, students returned to campus. People gathered outside Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School to show their support. 17 people were killed in the shooting earlier this month. 14 others were wounded. Extra counselors were on hand today to help students dealing with grief. The building where the shooting took place will be demolished and replaced. At the White House, a candid conversation between President Trump and members of Congress on what to do about guns. Here's some of what President Trump had to say about arming teachers, banning bump stocks, and the influence of the NRA.
We must harden our schools against attack. These include allowing people with a certified training, very talented people, to carry firearms. And some people are going to disagree with that, and I understand that. I fully understand that. And if you do, I want you to speak up today, and we'll listen.
You talked about the bump stock issue that Senator Feinstein, I know, cares passionately about.
And I'm going to write that out, because we can
started.
do that with an executive order. I'm going to write the bump stock, essentially write it out. So you won't have to worry about bump stock. Shortly, that'll be gone. We can focus on other things. And I'm a fan of the NRA. I mean, there's no bigger fan. I'm a big fan of the NRA. They want to do it. These are great people. These are great patriots. They love our country. But that doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. It doesn't make sense that I have to wait till I'm 21 to get a handgun, but I can get this weapon at 18. I don't know. So I was just curious as to what you did in your bill. You don't address it?
We didn't address it, Mr. President. Look, I think
you know why? Because you're afraid of the NRA, right?
No.
It was an issue back
no, the NRA
5 years ago.
Yeah,
it never came up.
It's a big issue right now. A lot of people are talking.
You're right. You're excellent.
But a lot of people are afraid of that issue, raising the age for that weapon to 21.
President Trump told senators and House members he prefers a comprehensive gun bill that includes many ideas rather than a piece-by-piece approach. Major retailers are taking action of their own. Tonight, Walmart says it will require a minimum age of 21 to buy guns and ammunition and will remove items from its website that look like assault-style rifles. This follows a similar move by Dick's Sporting Goods. The company is eliminating all sales of military-style semi-automatic rifles and high-capacity magazines. Dick's Sporting Goods pulled assault-style weapons from its stores after the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012. Today's move will extend that policy to its field and stream stores. As the nation watches young people band together on the national stage to denounce gun violence, Helix Charter High School students are banding together against a different kind of violence. KPBS education reporter Megan Burke says they formed a group to call for change after a La Mesa police officer slammed one of their classmates to the ground last month.
San Diego Unified isn't their home district, but Helix Charter High School students nonetheless drew the attention of media and bystanders outside of the district's board meeting this week. Like the Florida students, they told the crowd it's time for youth to be heard.
Change is going to happen. It's going to happen. And we're going to make sure of that.
They want de-escalation training for teachers and police after a La Mesa officer slammed 17-year-old Brianna Bell to the ground last month. She spoke publicly for the first time Tuesday.
When this incident took place, I felt like my voice wasn't important, but that people, what they're saying, people matter, that if everyone was to step up and say that what's happening is wrong, then things would change. So I would just be using my platform to say that our voices matter.
15-year-old Mohammed Abdullahi says the nation's attention to youth activists following the school shooting in Florida has given the group renewed momentum.
We are so excited that in this country, like, teenagers are like being given a platform to discuss the issues that matter. Because like for so long, you couldn't say anything because it's like, oh, let the adults handle it. But it's obvious the adults aren't handling it. And we aren't always in a position to vote or make changes specifically related to the ballot box, but we can use our minds, we can use our energy, we can use our bodies to create that change.
The students say they want to advocate around more than what happened at their school. They also denounced the idea of arming school staff, saying that listening to students and addressing their needs would go further in deterring school violence. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
That officer that body slammed Bell is on administrative leave pending an investigation. Police say Bell resisted an order to leave campus after a teacher found pepper spray in her bag. A 15th woman has come forward to accuse a San Diego County Sheriff's deputy of sexual misconduct. The deputy, Richard Fisher, was arrested last week on 14 counts of assault, sexual battery, and false imprisonment. KPBS reporter Claire Tregesser has details on the newest accusation.
If there are additional victims out there, we ask you to come forward.
At a press conference last week, Interim District Attorney Summer Stephan asked for anyone else with accusations against Deputy Richard Fisher to come forward. And that's exactly what happened with a 15th woman filing a complaint today. The woman, who's going by her initials to remain anonymous, accuses Fisher of groping her on multiple occasions in 2016. Her lawyer, Dan Gillian, says she only found out that other women were accusing Fisher by hearing about his arrest on the news. But Gillian says the sheriff's department should have found her in their investigation.
I think what's important about this case is it shows the sheriff's department is not going out there and trying to find other victims, even though they say they are. Here, there's all sorts of red flags that pop up from the fact that he returned to her house twice. And all of this is visible on his GPS data. So the fact that he returns twice when he has no business being there shows they simply are not looking for other victims, or they would have found her easily.
The sheriff's department did not respond to a request for comment. At the press conference last week, Sheriff Bill Gore said they are putting significant resources into the investigation.
And there's probably not a more serious investigation that the sheriff's department undertakes. When any deputy conducts himself in an inappropriate manner, it impacts not only every deputy in the sheriff's department, but every peace officer in this county and across the country. That's why we take them so seriously, because we depend on that trust between the public that we serve and law enforcement.
Fisher has pleaded not guilty to the charges. His bail was set at $100,000. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
Measures aimed at tackling San Diego's housing crisis are headed to the city council next week, and Mayor Kevin Faulconer is rallying support for their passage. Faulconer held a press conference today at a new apartment complex for low-income seniors. One of his proposals would expand a program that lets developers build denser housing if they set aside more homes for low-income renters.
And San Diego renters spend a larger portion of their income on housing than those in San Francisco and New York City. We're working to change that. That's why we've made increasing our housing supply and lowering development costs a high priority.
The mayor's proposals come up for a vote next Tuesday. They also include easing restrictions on so-called shopkeeper units, where residents live and work in the same building. Kristen Gaspar, chair of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors, delivered the State of the County address Tuesday night. KPBS reporter Allison St. John says Gaspar focused on finding new ways to work with vulnerable populations.
Gaspar emphasized personal responsibility rather than government services to address things like crime, homelessness, and drug addiction. She cited programs developed by San Diego nonprofits like Solutions for Change and Workshops for Warriors as examples of how to work with vulnerable populations. Gaspar said she plans to bring a new program to San Diego from Utah called The Other Side Academy that works with people who've been in prison or homeless.
The Other Side Academy bucks traditional wisdom with accountability, not experts. With self-sustaining social enterprise, not government handouts. Like a large family, residents learn to develop their strengths by helping each other.
The labor-backed group Invest in San Diego Families protested outside the meeting. They said that while Gaspar spoke about personal responsibility, she had less to say about the county's responsibility to support vulnerable families and communities. Gaspar is the newest member of the County Board of Supervisors. She's announced she's also running for Congress this year to replace Darrell Issa. Allison St. John, KPBS News.
Horse enthusiasts from across the country accuse a nonprofit from Valley Center of animal cruelty and fraud. They say you can read all about it on social media. iNews Source reporter Brad Racino says local and state authorities are looking into the way High Caliber Horse Rescue operates. Earlier, we talked about the investigation. So, Brad, what is High Caliber Horse Rescue?
It's a nonprofit horse rescue operation that operates out of Valley Center in San Diego County, just north near Bonsall. And what they do is they rescue and rehabilitate horses that they take in from a variety of places. Namely, one of them is an auction up in Ontario that they get most of their horses from.
So it sounds like this organization is doing good, but what's the complaint against it?
So there are a lot of people that support this organization. They have a huge following online. They do most of their fundraising online. But there is also another side, their critics that number in the thousands, who allege that High Caliber for years has been conducting pretty much animal abuse, cruelty, neglect, as well as these people question their fundraising practices, where the money goes, whether the money is actually helping these horses or whether it's helping the people that are involved in the nonprofit.
And speaking of the people involved, you actually spoke to the owner. Can you talk about what the owner has said about these allegations?
Yeah, so the founder of the nonprofit, her name is Michelle Natilla. She's a former animal control officer for the county of San Diego. She and I had a long conversation just yesterday about this, and she's used to these allegations. She's very open about the things that she does, but the main practice that is concerning for most people is the amount of horses that she's shooting, that she's euthanizing. So often she will take these horses from auction, they'll fundraise online, they'll raise hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and then within a couple days that horse will be dead. And the numbers that High Caliber has provided to us show that there was something like 80-something euthanasias just in 2017 alone. We haven't independently verified those numbers, but that is what is getting people up in arms, is this question of, are they actually rescuing and rehabilitating these horses, or is this some kind of money-making scheme?
In your report, you have a quote from Natilla where she says euthanasia is still rescue. How does she explain that?
She said that when she started out this nonprofit, she had this idea that she would just be rescuing and rehabilitating horses, but over time she saw how many were in need of being put down. So she has gradually transformed this nonprofit into offering free euthanasia services that she fundraises around, and she actually calls herself an angel of death.
And a lot of this activity is being documented via social media. Besides the fact that she calls herself the angel of death, what else has been disturbing for some of the people who've been following the post?
Well, it's really, she brands herself as this edgy, kind of no-nonsense person and brings that brand to High Caliber, and that's why it's so divisive. You can't find anyone in the middle on this issue, and there are people who love her for that. They have some, T-shirts and swag with things on them that I can't even say on KPBS. There is a video that she did a couple years back where she and the other person involved with High Caliber cooked and ate horse testicles live. That angered a lot of people. And then she has other videos where she is just going on tirades, laden with F-bombs and calling out her critics. And this is all documented and open. And again, I should say, she doesn't deny any of this. She's actually proud of it.
iNews Source is an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, students return to class at Douglas High School for the first time since that deadly shooting. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
A break today from the stormy weather we've seen this week. Here's a picture of a rainbow over the San Diego skyline as seen from Point Loma. It was sent to us by KPBS viewer Jim Grant. Julia Wyden has details on another chance for more rain in tonight's forecast.
What a big difference from yesterday when we saw the rain and snow. Big Bear had picked up over 8 inches. Now, as you look at our satellite and radar, it's a nice, quiet picture for San Diego County. Looking up farther to the north, however, you can see some wet weather in parts of coastal Northern California with some snow up in the Sierra Nevadas. Now, as we head into the later part of the week, into about Friday, we're going to see a front descending its way southward, and that is going to trigger off a few showers around here. So something to be aware of. But in the meantime, tonight should not have many problems, dropping down to 49 degrees under a clear sky. Your forecast is going to be around 40 degrees in Oceanside, 30s higher up in elevation. As we head up into Thursday, expect to see a pretty decent day. We'll have mild air coming in from the south and west, but again, those showers will be descending southward along that front with some heavy snow expected in the Sierra Nevadas. Around here, however, shouldn't be too much of an issue. We'll have temperatures in the low 60s in San Diego, 62 in Oceanside, around 61 degrees in Ramona. As we look off into the weekend, this is what you can expect. We'll see those showers again dropping farther off to the south, and I think they'll impact our area come Friday. So here is your forecast for the coast. 63 degrees and periods of rain on Friday. A shower or two lingering into Saturday. Then it's back to that sunshine and temps warm up to the upper 60s come Monday. Inland, again, wet weather as we wrap up the weekend. Even a few showers into Saturday. Temperatures will dip on Saturday with your high only at 59, but back to low 70s come Monday. In the mountain region, expecting to see some snow showers take over early in the day on Saturday. Temperature will be in the mid-30s. And finally, at the deserts, we will have some wet weather moving through here. And again, the cold front comes through as well, so that drops the temperatures from low 70s on Friday to mid 60s come Saturday. Looking into Sunday and Monday, much sunnier and brighter, and back to low 70s as we start off next work week. Back to you, Ebony.
As President Trump plans to visit San Diego next month to view border wall prototypes, he says construction in California could be delayed. The president tweeted this morning that the wall construction in California should not move forward until funding for the entire project is secured. Congress has yet to approve the money needed for a wall along the full southern border. This week, a federal court ruled that the administration can sidestep some environmental regulations in California for the border wall project. The California Democratic Party's decision not to endorse a candidate in the race to replace Congressman Darrell Issa puts the Democrats in a vulnerable position. KPBS North County reporter Allison St. John says the Flip the 49th campaign is looking for ways to narrow the field.
Do your job, Issa! Do your job, Issa!
When incumbent Darrell Issa was their only opponent, Democrats knew for certain one of their candidates would make it through the primary election and go on to fight for the seat in November. But when Issa dropped out of the race, the math became trickier. The June primary is an open primary known as a jungle primary, where the top two go on to the November election, regardless of party. 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans are running.
The increased health care costs.
Democrat Doug Applegate almost defeated Issa in November 2016. But he warned voters at a recent forum of the risk that with too many candidates and a Republican-leaning district, Democrats might be shut out.
We need to make some choices or otherwise face the fact that if Rocky Chavez gets the nod, you're going to have a Republican there for the next 12 years because it's a Marine veteran district. We all need to take that into consideration and put our egos aside.
The 49th stretches from Orange County to La Jolla and includes Camp Pendleton. Both Applegate and Republican Chavez are Marine colonels, and both have come out near the top in recent polls. But polls are not always accurate, points out Orange County environmental attorney Mike Levin, the Democratic candidate with the next highest polling numbers. He has powerful endorsements from Washington, D.C., and he's raised the most money.
We've raised over $1.25 million from over 12,000 people all around this country. There's incredible power in grassroots support, and I think there's a tremendous difference between 12,000 contributors and writing yourself $1 million check. This is not a plutocracy. This is not government by the wealthy.
Levin's comment was a swipe at Sarah Jacobs. Her grandfather founded Qualcomm. Jacobs comes third in the polls, but is making a strong case that her youth, she is not yet 30, is made up for by her experience.
While I am young, I am the only Democrat on this stage who has experience making and implementing public policy. We need more women at the table. I've worked at the State Department under President Obama. I've worked at the United Nations. I was the CEO of an international education nonprofit and a policy advisor to Hillary Clinton.
If elected, Jacobs says she would be the youngest woman ever elected to Congress.
I'm the only candidate in this race who had to work full-time through college.
The fourth Democrat also has significant personal wealth. Paul Kerr is a businessman with a home in Rancho Santa Fe.
Folks, I'm the only business owner up here, and I've owned a business for the past 20 years.
But Kerr says he'll fight for the middle class because he knows from personal experience how hard it was to make it.
I care so deeply about income inequality because I spent over 14 years of my life working minimum wage jobs. In my case, I was a busboy. And then I was a cook and a waiter and a sales clerk at Sears and a security guard at concerts.
Kerr's contributed more than $700,000 to his own campaign.
We need more than just a Democrat.
Last to enter the race and running last in the polls among Democrats is Christina Prejean. But she believes she has the qualities to match any of the Republican candidates.
Now the Republicans have brought in strong women like Kristen Gaspar and arguably Diane Harkey. And they've also brought in Rocky Chavez. He's a veteran. I'm a veteran. I'm a woman. I speak Spanish.
Democratic voter Randy Kraft, who attended the forum, says the debate did not reveal any major differences between the candidates on the issues.
It's a good mix, and I think from a policy point of view, there aren't a lot of variations. This is going to come down to types of experience and personality. They're all good candidates.
Flip the 49! Flip the 49!
But Tara Lawson-Remer of the Campaign to Flip the 49th says too many good candidates is actually disruptive.
We have quite a number of very qualified, very talented candidates in the race, and if they all stay in the race, we stand a strong chance of losing in June, much less losing in November. And what I see now is a moment in which leadership looks like stepping back and supporting someone else to step forward.
The Campaign to Flip the 49th will hold what they're calling a viability forum this Friday in North San Diego County to establish which candidates are the most viable. So far, none of the candidates has shown any sign of being willing to step back.
Thank you very much.
Allison St. John, KPBS News.
Today marks 20 years since the first flight of the Global Hawk unmanned plane. As Eric Anderson reports, it was an early pioneer in drone technology, designed and first built here in San Diego.
The first Global Hawk was built by defense contractor Teledyne Ryan. The craft boasted a wingspan of 116 feet with the ability to carry 2,000 pounds of surveillance equipment. Now, the current version has a 132-foot wingspan and can carry up to 3,000 pounds. Northrop Grumman owns and makes the plane. Alfredo Ramirez is the director of engineering there. He says the Global Hawk is flown around the world, and it even helped during San Diego's 2007 firestorms.
When the big fires were engulfing a lot of our area where we work in here in Rancho Bernardo, state of California made an emergency call to the Air Force, and the Air Force deployed Global Hawks to overfly the area and provide assistance to CAL FIRE.
The Global Hawk can fly for up to 27 hours without landing, and the pilot can be located on the ground up to half a world away. The first flight lasted 30 minutes and reached 30,000 feet. The craft is for surveillance only and does not carry weapons. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.